Hello and welcome. I'm Ellie Paskell, and this is the Radically Embodied You Somatic Journey. When your native instincts are allowed to flow free, who do you become? It's time to find out. It's time to bring back the deeply true you and let their unfettered impulses recreate existence. So now we open our sacred space. This is a space in which you will retrieve your soma. That's every level of who you really are, for freedom, integrity, solidity of knowing, and delight. And right now it gives me great delight to say that here to hold space for you to retrieve your soma is Frances Goodall. Welcome, Frances.
Thanks, Ellie. Great to be here.
So Frances is a good friend of mine, and she is a therapist, a coach, a trainer, a speaker, a mother, and the author of You Can Heal Chronic Illness, The Lotus Process, 8 Steps to Health and Happiness. Over 5 years, Frances went from housebound with chronic fatigue to running half marathons, and she's since spent a decade dedicating her life to supporting hundreds of women to recover their health. Frances is a master emotional freedom technique trainer and advanced practitioner, a Gupta amygdala retraining coach, and a health recovery coach specializing in supporting women to heal from chronic illness. And as if that wasn't enough, Frances is also a sex and pleasure coach for women. Frances is, to me, a pioneer of integrity and kindness in our world. So thank you, Frances. I'm so happy that you're here with us right now.
Thank you, Ellie. It's an honor to be here as well. Thank you.
So there's some good stuff coming up, guys. So this is a space, as ever, in which your body comes first. So we begin now with a practice guided by Frances, and I will hand over to you.
Thanks, Ellie. So this is going to be a practice to help you to deeply drop into your body and to drop out of your mind fully and really into your body, and supporting you to reclaim your wildness, your energy, your power, your realness, your sacredness, also connecting to your animal instincts and impulses, perhaps also connecting deeply to your sexuality as well. So it's a primal nature practice, supporting us to really connect to our primal nature, and just check in with your system with to what extent you want to go into this practice for today. Perhaps depending if you're a woman, where you're on your cycle, or just where you are in your nervous system today. Some days are days to break through and do some deep healing work, and then other days are days to take it more gently. So check in with your system with where you are today. So I'm feeling pretty yin today, so I'll probably take it quite slowly, but you could be more yang, or you could be more yin than I am. Just take it at the pace that works for you. So for me, this practice has been really powerful to connect to my wild primal self, and I've experienced states of ecstasy and joy and pleasure through this practice. So I'm just going to guide us into it, and as I said, just go into it to the extent that feels good for you. So the first, I'll go through the steps briefly so you've got a sense of what we're doing. There's going to be some breath work, moving of our pelvis to start with, and then we're going to embody a destructive archetype. That could be Kali, or it could be the energy of destruction, the energy of transformation. And we're going to do that with movement as well. I'll guide that through that in a moment. Then we're going to move energy up through our energy centers and back down again. And then we're going to connect to our wild animal self as well. And then towards the end of the practice, we're going to have a sense of birthing our most primal wild self, and then nurturing that part of ourselves. So that is a rough introduction to the practice. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness down into your body and into your hips, and What we're going to do is we're going to thrust our hips and breathe. So I don't know if you can actually see my hips here. I'm just realising maybe you can see Ellie's hips better. So we're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouths. And then as we do that, we're going to be thrusting our hips. And if for any reason that feels too much for you, you could just stick with nasal breathing, so in and out through your nose. If that feels too much, or just keep sticking with what I'm doing, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And really connect to your pelvis and your hips. And if you want to go deeper into this practice, you can move to just mouth breathing for a short period. And then we're going to explore embodying the archetype of destruction. So that could be embodying an archetype like Shiva or Kali, or it could just be the energy of destruction, and it's like you're burning up old karma, old conditioning, societal conditioning, religious conditioning, whatever it is. And we just maybe perhaps make a movement like this, or make it your own as well. Explore what works for you. And again, in through your nose, out through your mouth with a breath. And like I said, if you're feeling quite yang today, you might really go for this. If you're feeling more yin, you might do it slower. And you can use your sound as well to help you hear whatever sounds you want to make on an out breath, allowing them to come, any sounds to come out. And allow yourself to make the movement your own as well, like whatever it looks like for you is fine. Okay, and now we're going to move on to chakra breathing. So I'm going to invite you to initially connect right down to the root of your body, to your perineum area. If you're a woman, you might also want to connect to your cervix area, the area of the root energy center. And connect to the earth as you bring your awareness here. And you could continue with the connected breath if you feel comfortable with doing that, in through your nose, out through your mouth, or in and out through your mouth for the period of the practice. Breathing in earth energy, breathing in nourishing, energizing earth energy into the root of your body. And then a little bit further up into your sacral area, up the spine, bringing your awareness up into your sacrum. You want to put your hands over your lower belly, you could do, in your lower back. Really connect to this area of your body, your creativity, your sensuality. Emotions. And then bringing your awareness up to your solar plexus area, all the way down to your belly button area, perhaps putting your hand there. And bring your awareness into this area of your body now, bringing your energy up here. And also setting an intention for this practice. So it could be to connect to your most primal wild self. It could be something else around those themes, your most alive, embodied self. To connect to your power. And then to connect, bring your energy up to your heart. And then your throat. Your awareness and your energy up into your throat. And then to your third eye, between your eyebrows. And then to your crown of your head. And when you have your awareness at the crown of your head, just imagine you're sending out that intention to the universe, whether that's to whatever that is for you today, to connect to your most embodied primal self, or your most wild, free, powerful self, or something like that. Sending that off to the universe from the crown of your head. And then imagine bringing that back down now through your body, that intention and that energy all the way down from the crown of your head and back down through each energy center. So your third eye, your throat, your heart, solar plexus, your sacral, your lower belly area, and the root of your body. And just remind yourself of your intention, and then we're just going to do the releasing anything that's getting in the way of you really stepping into this version of yourself that you want to be, with some of that energy of destruction, energy of transformation, energy of clearing anything that's in the way. See how your body wants to move. Maybe it wants to shake. Maybe you want a sound. And then take a moment to imagine that you are a wild animal. So you might want to get on your hands and knees for this part, or you might want to just do it where you're stood. That would be fine as well. And just imagine that you're a wild animal and connect to your inner wildness and allow that to express itself through your body, your instinctual self, your impulses. Just allow yourself to be your wild animal self. However that shows up for you today is okay. And you could also express your wild sexuality as well, and the wild sexuality of an animal. What would that feel like if you could embody that for a moment? And perhaps moving around your space as this wild animal, as your wild animal self. And to see what sounds want to come out. Maybe you want to growl, maybe you want to roar, maybe something else. Maybe explore inhabiting for a moment your raw sexuality and just allowing it expression in a safe space in your room, wherever you are now. And then feeling your most primal self and that primal energy now. And we're just going to go through the energy centers again. And you could do this lying on your back. You could do this stood up. Whatever's going to work best for you now. And starting at the root of your body again, connecting to your primal energy in your root, in your perineum or your cervix, and your connection to the earth beneath you. Bringing the energy of the practices that you've done so far today, and different movements, bringing that primal energy in, really feeling it, really cultivating it, really welcoming it, and then bringing that primal energy up into your second energy center, your lower belly area, your sacrum, into your solar plexus, or just above your belly button, below your belly button, that whole area, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your crown. Again, reminding the universe of your intention, bringing it all the way back down through your body, through each energy center. Perhaps you could remind yourself it's safe for me to be my most powerful self, or it's safe for me to experience my wildness, my instincts, my body fully. Bringing that all the way down through your body. And then almost imagine that you're becoming pregnant even if you're a man, with your most primal self. Like you're becoming pregnant with it in your womb space if you're a woman, or just in that area if you're a man. Imagine you're becoming pregnant with your most primal self, like ripening within you. And then imagine yourself actually giving birth to this primal you in whatever way feels good to your system right now. You could really sound this and really imagine yourself going through a birthing process. In whatever way feels good in your system right now. You might be on all fours, or you might be squatting, or you might just do this stood up, or you might do it laying down, however feels good right now. Birthing your most primal self, and then when you're ready, you can take your most primal self that you've just birthed and cradle it and welcome it, your most raw, primal, instinctual self. And let this part of you now really melt through your body and take some conscious integrating breaths now just through the nose, and noticing how you're feeling in your body from this practice, and noticing what you need now. You might need rest, or you might want to now or later explore some self-pleasure, or to go deeper with this practice in some way. So just see what your system needs now. And just feeling your whole body now, and your breath going in and out of your nose, just a soft, relaxed breath. And sending a smile through your body. And if you need any resourcing, you might look around the room and remind yourself of present time. You might put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And then only in your own time, you could wiggle your fingers and toes and have a yawn and stretch and slowly come back.
Wonderful. Okay, everyone. So after that powerful journey, I'm going to take another couple of minutes to really stay present with the body. And this is as much for Frances as it is for any of us, to support her and all of us to drop deeply or more deeply into the body as we begin to transition into a more worded, logical space. So I invite you, if you haven't got your eyes closed, to let them close or rest with a soft gaze on the ground. And allow yourself to notice that your body is breathing again. We've just been working a lot with the breath. And as you're breathing here, allowing your awareness to sweep gently through your body, taking in what is alive for you, having journeyed through that practice with your primal nature. What's here? And just a gentle process of noticing whether there's sensation or lack of sensation. You might have a sense of energies with particular quality or even emotion. And according to what you're noticing in your body right now, tuning in gently and playfully with the question, who is the radically embodied you right now? If everything that's alive in your body was allowed to flow, take all the space that it needs. If any impulses were honored or emotions were allowed. Who do you become? And this might be a really subtle experience for you right now, or it might be something very clear, very strong. The radically embodied you is you living deeply and easefully from the truth in your body. And so it is. And right now, as Francis and I move into having a chat, I invite you to stay present with your felt sense. So whether you keep eyes closed or, maybe there's movement coming through or came through in the practice and that's still with you. Everything is welcome in this space. The priority is that whatever you're receiving from us, what words, what ideas, you get to experience it through the filter of what feels resonant to you in your felt sense. Yeah, wonderful. Francis, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
It's so delicious to open to the notion of the primal and that wildness and what impulses are here. And I'm curious, you went through this profound journey of healing from chronic fatigue when you were a very young woman, am I right?
Yeah, quite young, 19 to 24.
Right, yeah, really young. And I'm curious for you, if there's a link here, these primal energies, the allowing of what's real, the wilderness. Is there any links here between this and healing the body?
Oh, I think so, absolutely. For example, I always say I only started to heal when I started to feel my anger. I only started to heal when I started to feel energy flow through my body and, a movement through my body. So, yeah, I absolutely think there's a link here and that, that perhaps many of us get conditioned into living life in a particular way or what we should be doing, what we ought to be doing, but it's not necessarily in line with our true selves, animal selves, or what we truly want. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And this piece of allowing your energies to flow, you mentioned anger, so obviously some of these energies were emotional, and the piece of being who you really discovered yourself to be as opposed to maybe what was expected or you had been. How was that for you? Was it easy for you to start to let those pieces of you out, or was the challenge?
No, it was terrifying. I think at first I would block it to the point that I would make myself ill again and again and again until I remember one time when I was the first time I really felt anger, rage come up was we'd been doing a Reiki swap, me and a group of friends and my boyfriend at the time, and all this energy was flying around, and then suddenly I felt all this anger come up through my body. It was so intense, but it was all at the time at least transferred onto my boyfriend. Whether it was all really about him, I don't know. But then I was I can't express any of this. So I just felt myself shut it all down, and then I could barely walk. I could barely get home from the park after we'd been out to the park. I was like, I could barely walk. It was like, okay, I prefer to barely walk than to feel my anger on some level.
Right. Right. I would prefer to barely walk than feel that anger. Yeah. And like, hats off to you, such a courageous and profound journey. And oh, I just feel like you're speaking to something that's so profound and important. This piece of, in order to, whether it's keep our place in tribe, in family, in community, or uphold a sense of how things are done in the world, like the status quo of polite society or whatever it is, these pieces can be so important to our sense of self and safety that we will suppress enormous energies and enormous impulses. And I'm curious if there's people taking part here right now who are starting to get a glimpse of, oh my God, like maybe there's parts of my being, my personality that really it'll be healthy for me to let flow. How would you guide them to begin that journey or continue that journey if they're in the midst of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not always easy. I'd say, find safe spaces where you can let some of this out a bit at a time, whether that's in one-to-one therapy or coaching with a good coach, or whether it's in group work or retreats, workshops or dance, find spaces you can go to where you're safe to express and embody what's there and let it through step by step. And it can be really big. And I think sometimes, I feel like the rage that I carried went back generations, was like, collective wounds and all sorts of stuff. So it can be big, and it's a lot to try, and definitely too much to hold on our own. We need supportive spaces to be in, whether that's like a women's circle by fire or all those other things I mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit at a time.
Yeah.
I think that piece keeps coming through within these sessions at the moment. It's like it doesn't it's just this one day, and sometimes it's scary, but also it gets to be pleasurable, and it gets to be satisfying. Like even allowing anger or sadness can be exquisite if we're really letting it come through. It doesn't have to be horrid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then this piece of pleasure.
So
obviously you're now flowing, bringing in this beautiful new thread to what you're offering, the sex and pleasure coach for women.
Yeah.
And I'm curious for you, like, what you spoke to this, and the enormous energies that wanted to move through you when you were healing from chronic fatigue syndrome. And to me, the experience of pleasure, it's not always enormous, but it definitely speaks to this flow of energy. Often, of course, not always, but sexual energy from the base of the body, from the root, which is such a power point in the body, and particularly in the West, like we're shut off from it often, we sit with crossed legs, and we're all very polite in England with our stiff upper lip. But what do you have a sense of why for you this journey of giving this wonderful support to women who are healing from illness, and then you flowed into a sex and pleasure coach for women?
Yeah, I think it's partly just because of my own personal journey of growth and expansion and healing. And also the more I healed my trauma and my nervous system, the better and most amazing states of ecstasy and pleasure and orgasm I could experience. And I wanted to like pass on and make that available to more and more women. It's like we have this incredible body that we can have these incredible experiences in life. And I guess because of my own journey, I've kind of gone beyond being so passionate about chronic illness healing, although I still really care for people on a healing journey path, and still currently working with people on such a path. But I became more passionate about like what's possible in terms of our optimal human potential, including particularly for women. My focus is our potential for pleasure and orgasm and whole body orgasms and different kinds of orgasms and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Whole body orgasms and different kinds of orgasms. I feel like that it speaks to this piece. It's the same piece again. This flow of energy that wants to move through us,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And a similar question to before, really. If there's a woman or women or men also watching now who are their ears are pricking up, you know, like maybe they're sitting with chronic illness, or maybe they're not, and their appetite has been whetted for this piece of, I can have a whole body orgasm, or like, you know, I can play with this, I can bring alchemy to my sexual energy. Like,
Yeah.
how can they begin?
Yeah, well, there's obviously like lots of things out there you can go to, like tantra workshops. There's lots of videos you can watch on tantra, books you can read on things like tantra. I think are a good place to start. But a lot of it's really just about really bringing more awareness to one's body, and really exploring, really, yeah, feeling different areas of our bodies and energy, and being able to cultivate the capacity to surrender more deeply to one's experience, to relax and soften more deeply into one's experience, whether that's through self pleasure or with a partner, and perhaps to, you know, spend more time over it. And there's a really good book called A Woman's Anatomy of Arousal, I think it's called. It's a really good look at kind of like all of this kind of work, and different kinds of orgasms, full body orgasms, and all that sort of stuff, and energy orgasms, and all the different kinds of experiences that are available to us, are possible for us to experience. And also to go back to sort of the healing stuff, that actually once we allow ourselves to experience pleasure and bring more pleasure into our lives, pleasure is also signifies that we're safe. We're safe. You know, it's kind of a good reminder to our nervous systems that we're safe, and that we can actually heal through pleasure. We can bring pleasure to our pain, to our trauma, and I get that could be potentially quite a triggering idea as well, especially if any women or men who have experienced any kind of sexual abuse of any kind. But over time, we can help to rewire our systems for deeper and deeper layers of pleasure, and we can actually heal through experiencing pleasure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this piece, your words here, bringing pleasure to our pain, bringing pleasure to our trauma.
Yeah.
That's piqued my interest. Could you say a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, it's I've trained to be a coach with Layla Martin last year, and it's part of the training really is about that we can sort of rewire our nervous systems for pleasure, and we can heal our nervous systems through pleasure. So it's like if something's coming up in the body, like some kind of nervous system response, or some kind of trauma, or even some kind of deep emotion, you can explore what was it like to be with that emotion or be with that sensation, but also to bring pleasure to my experience. You know, also to bring touch, maybe to massage my breasts at the same time, or even do full self pleasure. What's it like to also experience pleasure at the same time? And then it can always help to like rewire our systems for pleasure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's so beautiful. I really haven't thought of that before. Like when I'm with anxiety or whatever it is, you know, can I bring pleasure in now too? And what's that like? And
it's almost like expanding our capacity for pleasure, expanding our nervous system's capacity for pleasure, just step by step.
Yeah.
And also to feel some of those difficult feelings. You know, if we can also bring in pleasure, then it's bringing more capacity to feel some of that pain as well. Yeah.
Right. And I think what you're speaking to is also so powerful from the perspective of, you know, many of us are on healing journeys at this time because we're returning the world to love. So we're working through old things and releasing old fear and trauma, and it's really important to bring pleasure into our lives at the same time, to bring that balance of, it's not all about, it's not all about getting fixed. I don't think those words are ever really quite right. We're always where we need to be, but yes, to bringing in the yumminess.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I've just got this image in my head of like, what would our world be like if, you know, what would the Houses of Commons be like? What would the political forums where they're trying to find peace or be like if everybody in there had spent the morning focusing on pleasure.
Yeah.
Like the visionary and high vibe ideas that would be coming through
Yeah, absolutely.
because of
Yeah.
the value of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know, Francis, you have a free gift that
Mhm.
those taking part here can click and claim. Can you say a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, briefly, that's a series of emails that also provides some self-care practices. It is aimed at women on the healing journey, or any women actually, this series is. So it's like self-care tools, breathing practices, energy medicine practices, different ways you can bring nourishment and healing to your body and health and wellness to your body. And joy, and some joy and pleasure as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So click the link, dear ones, and you can get your free, nourishing self-care video practices. They'll come straight to your inbox box. And what's one a day for 5 days?
Yeah, I think it's that like that. Yeah. 5 days, or maybe it's one every 2 days. I'm not sure.
They'll be yummy and healing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I know that we've got the link to your website also.
Yeah. So if anyone, this is for women or men on a healing journey from chronic illness, or just it is actually a bit of just a personal development process, and the Lotus process, you can get a PDF, free PDF that's got some videos as well to support the healing journey.
Great. So yeah, check out Francis' website also and get some more loveliness. Okay, beautiful. Wonderful. So there's been so much wisdom that you've shared, Francis, and so much, like, I see you glowing when you're talking particularly about this work with supporting ourselves to tune into pleasure. And I just thank you. It's been so great to see that coming through you and experience that and hear your words.
Yeah.
So before we close, everybody, I am going to invite all of us to come back to the body. So again, you may want to let your eyes close if they've opened, or let them rest with a soft gaze. And take 3 breaths right now with the fact that you are in a soma. You are here in your complete being, every level of your body. And as you take these breaths, I invite you as ever to tune in to what's present with you in your felt sense in this moment. Again, whether that's impulses, emotions, knowings. It may be that for you in this session, your radically embodied you has shown up in a subtle way, or one very small and specific way, perhaps a particular energy or sensation in your body which you felt compelled to follow. Maybe it guided you through Francis's practice. Maybe it's going to guide you through your day or your week, bringing a sense of a new element of who your soma is inviting you to be. A piece of who you already are rising to the surface right now. Or it might be that in this practice, in this session, you tuned into another version of yourself. Like maybe your primal one really came out, or the notion of yourself flowing with what feels pleasurable is here for you, or something else. Breathing with your body, tuning into this magic, this alchemy. If you were to let yourself flow from the experience in your body as much as your body guides you to today, who would you be? And so, session by session, step by step, you are learning how it feels to be the radically embodied you and letting this being flow into your world. Beautiful. Taking a breath now of appreciation for yourself. And taking a breath of appreciation for Frances, for all of the pleasure, the invitation, the presence and the wisdom that she's brought. Thank you so much, Frances.
Thank you, Ellie. Great to be here with you.
All right, everyone. Wishing you a beautiful onward journey with the radically embodied you. And I will see you soon.